All right, extra, read all about it or see all about it, however you want to do it. Today's the day we finally hear from Luke Altmyer and Jaxson Dart. We hear from them. I give you my commentary on it and everything. This is the extra video edition of Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to this extra video edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Here in a second, we are going to hear from Jaxson Dart and Luke Altmyer about the transfer, about the competition, about the offense, all that stuff, and the questions that you want to have answered. We're going to talk about it right here. But before we get started, I do want to say thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So do us a favor, hit subscribe on the channel. Also hit the bell for notifications of new videos and, of course, upvote the video itself. It would be greatly appreciated. And once we hit 1,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel, live post-game show for football season. So it should be pretty good. But before we get started and everything's going, let's hear from Jaxson Dart and Luke Altmyer.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I think before when spring started, we've been doing a whole lot, even before spring started, with all 11 guys with the team setting. So when we started, it was like practice 9 for us. And with Dart, we've become really fast friends. He's a great guy, obviously a great player and competitor. But we help each other out, and I root for him when he's in, and likewise the other way around.
I mean, ultimately, just seeing the production that they had last year. Hearing about it on the news when I was playing at SC, and then watching highlights when I was in the portal and the meeting with the coaches. I loved how electric the offense is. It's super quarterback friendly, and I love the just the excitement and everything that carries around with it. I loved how Coach Kiffin has really turned some things around here and have brought it back to what it used to be. And so that was something that really excited me.
I knew they were going to bring someone in just because of the lack of depth and things like that, only with 2 scholarship QBs on roster. But I believe in myself. I really do. I understand the nature of the business and everything like that. But, I go to work every day with the belief that I can, lead this team.
Man, that's my brother. He came into SC. He wasn't an early enrollee, so he came a little bit later than me. But, it was like right off the bat when we got to meet each other, we just became super close. And, when all the discussion was going down with me getting in the portal, he texted me right away, and he's like, "Hey, bro, I'm going where you're going." So I just think that, our friendship's just really close, and we have that brotherhood.
I did. Even with Levy, when Levy was still here, he was, him and Dylan are obviously really close with him at Oklahoma, and he was trying to get him here at Ole Miss as well, and they always kept me in the loop with, they met with me frequently, and when Weiss got here, I mean, I obviously knew the guys who were in the portal and things like that, and they always kept me, in the loop of who was visiting and things like that.
Yeah, Luke's a great kid. I remember, one of my first days coming in here, we threw in the indoor facility with some of the receivers, and he was the first kid to come shake my hand. So he's a great kid, and I can tell that, he's raised really well. We're good friends.
Obviously some, different things, but there's a whole lot of similar things with, Kiffin being the offensive mind that he is. He obviously, has his own, niche and his deal and how he wants to play ball. And Weiss is going to keep a lot of the, the same things that we did last year because we were so productive, and what Matt did was really cool. And he thinks me and Jaxson can, do the same things.
I came into SC in this similar position. I committed with another kid who was in my class. So for me, it's kind of similar. It's like I'm in the same position as I was when I first went to SC. We obviously have the same goals in mind. And, I think it's just, it's competition. It breeds the best out of both of us. It's going to push us and help us become better players ultimately.
It was a crazy deal. When you go in, you don't really feel the magnitude of it all. You're just trying to do your assignment and play hard for your teammates. And looking back, you think about how surreal it was. And, I think about it every day, kind of beat myself up over it, because I think my biggest flaw is a player and a person. I'm the biggest perfectionist and overthinker there is, and it's hard to battle some days, but I wouldn't trade the experience for the world.
Obviously, it's new stuff for me. I mean, it was last week. We'd come into, the first 3 days, and there were new things that I haven't ran before. So just getting those reps really helps. But if I compare myself to where I was last spring to this spring, I feel like I'm a lot farther ahead. With just like my knowledge of the game, and I think Coach Weiss has done a great job with that, with helping the quarterbacks understand defenses more and really meeting with us beforehand to get us ready before spring ball even started. I felt like we had almost at least 75% of the whole install in before spring ball had even started. So just meeting with him has been an easy transition for me, getting to know the offense. And from here on out, I think it's mostly just reps and understanding how guys play and their speeds and all that stuff.
All right, there you have it, all the good news that they're talking about, everything going on. I'm really excited about this move. That's the reason we're concentrating on them. And I do want to apologize to DeAndre Prince. He was kind of the third wheel in this situation because, of course, both Luke Altmyer and Jaxson Dart would come out at the same time because they don't want to show favoritism. Also, on this one, when you saw that, Luke Altmyer went first because of alphabetical order. That was the only reason behind that. That is not showing anything. We just tried to find a way to be fair to the competition and let them compete at their own rate. No favoritism one way or another. Anyway, the Final Four for the NCAA tournament is due to happen this weekend. I'm really excited about all of that. All of the buzzer beaters and everything is better. These sharks can absolutely take advantage of you. So I use Stat Hero. Stat Hero's single game pick'ems pit the star players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on the players you know best with the gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. So this is what you do. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON. That's all one word. That is that will have a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. Yes, need to move over. I think I got stuck a little bit. Now, our next partner has a product I literally use every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because at the time I just wanted better gut health, more energy, that's going on. So what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things. So, this is what you need to do. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. Just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills, supplements, and look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your health and pick up ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right. So, one thing is pretty interesting that they talked about. Obviously, they're close. You hear the way they talk about each other. They're fairly close on the field, and that is good because this team, we always talk about competition is a tenet of this team. It doesn't matter if Jonathan Mingo, everybody expects him to be a starter out at wide receiver, but he is going to have to compete just like everybody else because it's a tenet of this team. So we're going to talk about the quarterback competition because competition, honestly, can mean different things. like I said, everybody expects Jaxson Dart to win this job. He's a former Gatorade National Player of the Year. He's got all the tools you could ever want. But Luke Altmyer, if you heard his interview, there's a little bit of OCD in his game. And we told you the one way that you can beat out Jaxson Dart is by essentially being a machine. By taking the Brett Favre that is Jaxson Dart and competing with a Drew Brees that is Luke Altmyer. That is the path forward. And we told you about that path, and we've been very honest about it. And honestly, hearing those interviews makes me sound even more right to me. I think I'm on the right track here with the way this looks. Like I said, I don't expect Jaxson Dart not to win the job. I'm not saying that. But it would be irresponsible of me to just assume that it was over. Just because if a transfer comes in, I'm going to assume that he's going to win the job because otherwise why would he transfer here? Well, that eliminates all the competition over the course of a year, essentially. And is it really fair to Luke Altmyer, who genuinely, listening to him, believes he can lead this team? And he learned that the night of the Sugar Bowl. He goes over that every night, every day. He thinks about what went wrong. It haunts him a little bit. But he also said he wouldn't trade that experience for anything. That has elevated him. And I honestly think that is something to look for. I think he can do some fairly special things because that was the moment that he realized he could run this team against a really good defense. Remember, that Baylor defense was the equivalent of Alabama or Georgia. It was a really good defense. And at one point, he led them down the field and they took the lead. If we had a field goal kicker, it could have been 13-7 in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss winning that game. That's the thing that people need to internalize, honestly, is it wasn't really the fact that a offensive line performance or a quarterback performance held Ole Miss back. Special teams kind of let Ole Miss down in that game. And that's the reason that we talk about the transfer portal potentially and a kicker. But just to let you know, in the transfer portal, another defensive back has popped up as visiting Ole Miss. Another defensive back. So obviously at the corner position, at the safety position, I'm not sure exactly which one. They're obviously at least humoring the idea of bringing people up to shore that up. Now remember, this roster has been turned over something fantastic. And I expect them to turn over something fantastic moving forward. But, I'm telling you, listening to these two quarterbacks, I am more confident than I've ever been. And I've talked about this, honestly, since the Locked On podcast started back in December, that this competition was going to be the story going into fall. And I honestly think this is going to be the story going into fall even more. I didn't hear anything from anybody else. Although, for people that want to doubt Jaxson Dart, which there are a few people out there, because people like to pick sides for whatever reason. Whoever wins this quarterback competition is going to make Ole Miss better. But Jaxson Dart says he gets to Ole Miss and is dealing with the similar situation that he got to USC with. And because of that, he does have that little bit of knowledge and that little bit of a comfort level to where he can come in and has confidence that he can win the job. But Luke Altmyer has that confidence as well. So it'll be interesting to see, like I said, by the end of spring, you want that experience gap that Luke Altmyer has to shrink if you're Jaxson Dart. If it doesn't, I think the fall comes out to be a pretty interesting situation. This competition could be an absolute war. And the flip side of that is if he closes it down a little bit, it is going to be Jaxson Dart's job to lose when the fall hits. So thanks for tuning into this extra edition of the Ole Miss, the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We'll be here tomorrow morning with Tom Vanderford. Tomorrow night, by the way, no post-game pod Friday night. I'm taking my wife to Hollywood Studios over at Disney. We're going to eat at Mama Melrose's, and I got a reservation for 8, so that's going to be right during the baseball game. So couldn't really talk about a game that I'm not going to see. Anyway, thank you very much for making the Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. Do me a favor and rate us and review us on iTunes. It doesn't matter what you say. Just leave a 5-star review. That will help people find the podcast in the future. But anyway, thank you very much. And, of course, hotty toddy.